على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. يقول الله عز وجل: يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين وكان الله غفورا رحيما. This verse is known as the verse of hijab, or the verse of the veil. It doesn't mention hijab, it mentions jilbab. Jilbab is not just the head covering, it's the covering of head to toe, literally with one eye out. That's the explanation of the Mufassir al-Quran from the Sahabi Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. This is the true nature of hijab or jilbab, whichever you call it, from the Quran. Both words are mentioned, but here specifically this word is there specifically for Ya ayyuhan Nabi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Qul li azwajik. Tell your wives. Wa banatik. Your daughters. Tell all your daughters. Tell your wives, tell all your daughters. Then the third one he says, قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين, and all the believing women. All the believing women without an exception. So this is no exception at all. Ya ayyuhan nabi, qul li azwajik. Tell your wives, tell your daughters, and tell all the believing women to do what? قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. That they must cover themselves with the jilbab. And this jilbab in the dictionary, according to our understanding of Quran and Hadith and how the Sahabiyya understood this, was in Medina when this verse came down, as we find in Tafsir Durrul Manthur and many other books of tafsir to do with narration, tafsir with according to narration. So how do we understand a verse of the Quran? We understand the verse of the Quran, of how the Sahaba applied this verse, how they understood this verse. So intentionally, guys, can we? So the Sahabiya, they were mentioned in the ahadith as if the markets of Medina became like crows. Completely everyone was wearing black in such an instance that nobody can discern themselves. Nobody knew who the other person was. This was the description in hadith. This was the description of the verse of the Quran. And nowadays, we want to interpret the Quran the way we feel like. This is the biggest disease that we have in this. This is the biggest illness that we have in this time and age. Unfortunately, we want to understand the Quran better than the Sahaba understood the Quran, better than the Sahabiyat, who the verse came upon. Now we want to say, oh, it was just for the Prophet's wives, it was just for the Prophet's daughters. The Quran is telling you it's for all believing women. Any person who is a believing woman, this verse of the Quran applies to them. Applies to them, that they must cover themselves when they go out in parda, as we call in Bengali or Urdu, in parda. Okay? This parda is not a necessity upon us. It's to save our wives, it's to save our families, it's to protect our family unit. Because this day and age, this family unit is breaking down by thousands and millions. And this is a necessity that is, whatever the Quran and Hadith stipulate for us, make fard upon us, make wajib upon us, it is only for our good. Not for Allah's good. What is Allah going to get? Nothing. If a woman doesn't wear hijab, what's Allah going to get? Nothing. If you don't make sajda, if you don't pray fajr, what's Allah going to get? Nothing. Nothing. Allah doesn't lose. You're losing. We're losing. We are the ones that are losing. When we don't listen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's instructions, we're going to bring disaster upon ourselves. When Allah is telling us to do something and we don't apply that, and we want to interpret it, and we want to make excuses, and we want to make it into things which is not, we're only going to cause disaster for ourselves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us, especially we have our mothers, our sisters, our aunties, our daughters, and then inshallah grandchildren if we live that long inshallah one day. All these are our responsibilities. If we are the murabbis in the house, we have to tell them to cover up. After they become of age, or after they become of the age of maybe 7 or 8, they need to start covering up. They need to make it a habit to start covering up. Because if that child, at the child of 7, Rasulullah says, command them to pray Salah. Now, praying Salah means all the obligations, try to train them from that age. All the obligations of Islam, try to train them from the age of 7, so they get used to all the obligations. With fasting, you can take it a bit easy, especially on the longer days. Now, alhamdulillah, the shorter days are here, so maybe you can train them into fasting as well. Okay, if it's it's only 12 hours, they can maybe do fasting if they're like 10 years old. Most 10-year-olds can do 12-hour fasts. It's not a problem. They have sehri, and then in the evening after they come back from school, they can have their lunch, more or less, after Maghrib. So it's not a problem, inshallah. So that age of 7 is there for training. From the age of 7 to 14, it's the age of training. You have to train that child into becoming as Islamic as it can become in his life. Because this is what's going to reflect for the next years of his life. From after 14 to 21, now it's more or less just, there's not much that you can teach that child anymore. It's more or less now being a good companion to that child. The training period has already gone. The training period which most people miss inside their lives is from the age of 7 to 14. First 7 years you play with them mostly. You play with them, Rasulullah says, you play with them. You play with them, you give them entertainment, you make them laugh, you make them cry, you make them happy. Okay, that's the age which you have fun with your children, the first 7 years. Next 7 years is the years of discipline. Is the years of discipline from the age of 7 to 14. This is what most people neglect. And then from the age of 14 to the age of 21, this is the age where now he becomes your companion and you're like his friend. You are now giving him guidance only. You're only giving him guidance. You can't impose upon him certain things. If you haven't done it before, it's going to be hard for you to impose upon him on that age, because that age is very tough. From the age of 14 to 21, that age is extremely tough. Those who have taught those children at those ages will understand. Their minds are all over the place. Okay? So it's very tough to make their tarbiyah at the age of 14 to 21. But again, 14 to 21 is still core age group. If they make, it's a making or a breaking period. It's a making or a breaking period. A child can become the best of the best or become the worst of the worst during that period, between the period of 14 to 21. And that will reflect from whatever a person does after the age of 25, he's already molded. He's already molded. Most of the time, after the age of 25, you can't change. It's very hard to change. If a person is used to praying salahs, he won't miss salahs. Generally speaking, he won't miss salahs unless he goes to a completely different environment and something destroys him in between. Okay? But generally speaking, he's molded completely. He's completely fashioned. He's used to reading his Quran every day. He's used to praying his salah every day. He's used to his normal things. He's used to his dhikrs every day. He's used to a certain way of thinking, certain way of doing things. He knows what's haram. He knows what's halal. He knows what to go to. He knows what not to go to. He knows what to go close to. He knows what to not play with. Okay, some things are playing with fire. Okay, especially women, as we know. So this tarbiyah will only be done with the guidance of Rasulullah, as he says, 7 years for playing, 7 years of discipline, and 7 years of befriending them. So those are the years until the age of 21. After the age of 21, now they're adults, they're fully adults. You can't do anything. Now it's their life. They have to get married. They have to have their own house. They have to have their own children. They have to have their own. Now it's completely different. You have to let go. You can't hold them. Many parents, they want to hold their children in after the age of 21. This is unhealthy. Holding your children after the age of 21 inside your house is unhealthy. I'm telling you, it's unhealthy. It's not a good habit. Unfortunately, we have it in our cultures. This is not the culture of Rasulullah. This is not the culture of Islam. Okay? As we see. After they get married, or at the time of them getting married, they've done their education. Alhamdulillah, you've done as much as you could do as a father or as a mother. Now it's their choice. They must carry on their lives from the tarbiyah that they got for the first 21 years in your hands, inshallah. So, This is the guidance of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Here the first hadith we find عن أبي موسى رضي الله تعالى عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال كل عين زانية والمرأة إذا استعطرت فمرت بالمجلس كذا وكذا يعني زانية. رواه أبو داود والترمذي وقال حديث حسن صحيح. This hadith is on the authority of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari رضي الله تعالى عنه, the Yemeni Sahabi. كل عين, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, every eye is committing zina. Every eye is committing zina. وَالْمَرْأَةُ إِذَا اسْتَعْطَرَتْ, meaning if it falls onto the eye, onto things which is not meant to be seen. So this hadith gives us an understanding that when a person intentionally looks at the opposite gender with lustful thinking, not accidental. Accidental is completely different. A person looks at, people are going past in the marketplace, he's walking past, he's trying to look down, he's trying to mind his own business and he's trying to walk off. He's not going to be sinful. Okay? Whereas on the other hand, if a man, he stares at a woman, he starts looking at a woman with lustful feelings, and he starts thinking about her in a sexual way, in a lustful way, in a desirous way, in that way, it is absolutely haram. We know this. So this eye is zaniya. With the eyes, you can commit zina. You can commit adultery. It's the adultery of the eyes. Okay, if you are misusing your eyes. وَالْمَرْأَةُ إِذَا اسْتَعْطَرَتْ, a woman, if she applies perfume on herself, perfumes herself, then she walks by a gathering of people. She walks by, meaning she goes out perfuming herself. Then she is like this such and such a person, meaning she is like a adulteress. She's like a fornicator. She's like a prostitute. Why? Because she is dragging attention to herself. She is dragging attention to herself from other men. So this hadith very clearly shows that a woman bringing unnecessary attention towards her when she goes out is absolutely haram. And it is part of zina, because this is what leads to zina. A woman, if she dresses very promiscuously and she goes out, what does it do? It automatically attracts your attention. She's in miniskirt, she's wearing a crop top, automatically drags your attention. When she attracts your attention, automatically she herself is likened to a prostitute. She herself is likened to similar to a prostitute, because she's dragging your attention, she's getting your attention. She herself is gunagar. She herself is a major sinner. Major sinner. Herself is major sinner. You are a major sinner for you staring at her and for you desiring of her and for you lusting over her. You understand? So you are a sinner as well. You're also committing zina of the eyes by you staring at a woman who you are not allowed to. She is gunagar, no doubt. She is definitely gunagar. She is definitely a major sinner. For her to come out like that in public, for her to come perfumed in order to get your attention, she is definitely a gunagar, according to the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This hadith is in Abu Dawood and Imam at-Tirmidhi also. It's in Imam at-Tirmidhi's collection as well, Sunan. And he says this hadith is sound and authentic. So this instruction is very clear that our Sharia wants to prevent immodesty in society, because immodesty leads to zina. Zina leads to children which are illegitimate, haramis, as we called in Arabia they call them haramis, illegitimate. In Bengali there's other words as well. Yeah, in English there's other words as well. I don't want to mention them. It's not nice. Anyway, the point is, this is becoming more common. And Akhirul Zaman, there's a hadith of the last hour will not come until these type of children will become widespread, will become many. And this is exactly what we see in this day and age, unfortunately. That boys don't know their fathers, so girls don't know their fathers. And this causes so much problems in society. This causes so much problems in family. If a child doesn't have a father figure in his house, it's very detrimental. You will not understand the psychological damage that child goes through on a daily basis. That's why that child is most likely, he's more likely to go on the streets, more likely to go to prison, more likely to do a crime, because he didn't have a father figure inside the house. And this day and age, unfortunately, we see these girls, they're not taking marriage seriously. They think marriage is a joke. Marriage is like social media. Everything is about fun. Everything is about entertainment. Everything is about money. Everything is about going to different countries and traveling here and there and eating steaks here and there and having some king prawns. It's a joke. It's become a joke. This lifestyle has become a joke. It's so materialistic, it literally damages our minds. A person must not look at that stuff of the dunya. وعن موسى بن يسار رضي الله تعالى عنه قال مرت بأبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه امرأة وريحها تعصف فقال لها أين تريدين يا أين تريدين أمة الجبار. A woman, so here Musa ibn Yasar, he reports that a woman passed by Abu Hurairah رضي الله تعالى عنه whilst she was emitting a lot of fragrance. Her fragrance was really spreading, like you could smell her from far away. Okay, she was wearing a lot of perfume. Abu Hurairah stopped her. She said, Ya Amat al-Jabbar, oh the female slave. Imagine the way he addressed her. Oh the female slave, meaning remember your position. No matter who you think you are, you can be the king's daughter, you can be the princess. For that sake, it doesn't matter. Ya Amat al-Jabbar, oh the daughter, female slave of Jabbar. Jabbar is who? Jabbar is Allah, the dominant, the one and only, the one who is Al-Aziz, the Almighty, the all-dominant. Ya Amat al-Jabbar, oh the female slave of Al-Jabbar. Where are you going? She says, I'm going to the masjid. Then he says, you have perfumed yourself in this way and you're going to the masjid? Meaning you have adorned yourself in such a way and you're going to the masjid? She said, yes. He said, return back to your home. Farji'i faghtasili, go and have a bath. Meaning take off all your perfume and take off all your beauty, take off your makeup, take off your adornments, take off your jewelry, take off everything that's there. Take off everything. فَإِنِّي سَمِعْتُ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ يَقُولُ, for indeed I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying, لا يقبل الله من امرأة خرجت إلى المسجد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't accept from any person that goes towards the masjid, وَرِيحُهَا, any woman that goes towards the masjid, whilst the fragrance, whilst her perfume spreads wide, meaning you can smell her perfume, everyone can smell her perfume. حَتَّى تَرْجِعَ فَتَغْتَسِلَ, until she goes back to her house and she takes off all the adornments. She takes off her perfume, she takes off her makeup, she takes off her nice hijabs, nowadays as they call it, or jilbabs, whatever they feel like calling nowadays. So those nice jilbabs and hijabs are for your husband, are for your family members, not for outside the house. Outside the house, this is the guidance of Rasulullah, this is the statement of Abu Hurairah, quoting Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam very clearly, that go back home. Don't come like this to the masjid. You are not allowed to come like this to the masjid. A woman is not allowed to come beautified to the masjid with her fragrance overwhelming everyone, overpowering everyone. She is not allowed to come with her extra, what do you call those, eyelashes. She is not allowed to come with a full face of makeup, like we saw in East London. Imam tried. The Imam tried to tell them off, but now he's going to get backlash, because he's the one that invited women to the mosque in the first place. Now you're going to say Ustad doesn't like women to come to the mosque. I'm not saying that. For educational purposes, it's completely fine. But for Salah, there's no need. Her reward is in the house. Her reward is in not praying Salatul Jummu'ah in the masjid. They're running towards the masjid, they're running more like Olympics to the masjid. Whereas the men are lagging behind inside their businesses. We open Jummu'ah here, they don't want to come here, right on their doorstep. They don't want to come. Leave alone go to the masjid, they don't want to come here. Unfortunate situations, you know. Women are running towards the masjid. Women sprinting towards the masjid. Astaghfirullah. This is the time whereas Rasulullah clearly says for you to read your salahs in the most corner of the house where no one can see you is more rewarding for you as a woman. Whereas nowadays, they're dying to go to the masjid and have a nice party and a mahrajan and a celebration. This is completely against the sunnah. Those imams that promote such things are going to be liable on the day of judgment. They will be questioned on the day of judgment. They have brought this upon themselves. How could you refrain it now? You can't tell them don't come to the masjid anymore. They're gonna go against you. They're gonna go on TikTok, they're gonna go on Facebook, they're gonna go on Instagram, they're gonna bash you. They're gonna go on WhatsApp groups, they're gonna bash you. Why? Because Abdul Qayyum is saying women can't come to the masjid. They forget what he said. He said, don't come to the masjid in this way. In the way that Rasulullah said, you're not allowed to come. You're not supposed to adorn yourselves. You're not supposed to wear beautiful clothing with shiny materials to attract the opposite gender and to go for a cake there and a gourmet burger. That's not what the masjid was made for. After 8 rakat, they start running away from Tarawih Salah. This is not what you do in Ramadan. Ramadan, every sin is multiplied. Just like every reward is multiplied, every sin is multiplied. Everyone talks about just rewards, not just rewards. Just like in Haram Sharif, the reward is great, 100,000 times in Makkah. Likewise, if a person commits sin inside Haram Sharif, he will be liable 100,000 times. 100,000 times, as if he's committed that sin 100,000 times. This is why Imam Abu Hanifa didn't stay in Makkah, Medina for too long. He went 55 times he went for Hajj. 55 times in his life he went for Hajj. Every single year of his life he went to Hajj. He was merchant, he was rich, he was a millionaire. Alhamdulillah. He's our Imam. We are proud of him, Alhamdulillah. But anyway, the point is, every single year he went there, but he made sure that he has the adab of Makkah and Medina. Not just to go and have TikTok and everything there. Astaghfirullah. This is completely wrong. It's completely... Makkah, Medina is not a holiday. You don't go 5-star. Some people, they just love luxury. They can't stay. You're going as a beggar. You understand what a beggar is? You understand what a beggar is? You're going as a beggar to Allah. To cry to Allah, to beg to Allah, Ya Allah, fix my life. Fix my health. Fix my children. Fix myself. I've drowned inside the loans and the debts and the mortgages and the harams. To go and beg to Allah like a beggar. This is Hajj, this is Umrah. Nowadays, you see them go every single year, Alhamdulillah, 10,000 package, 7,000 package, 8,000 package, 5-star, full, everything booked to the max, all inclusive, everything. This is not Umrah, bhai. How do you know your Umrah is getting Qabul? What level of acceptance is that? I'm not saying if you have the money, don't go in luxury if you're used to that luxury. But the point is, don't go and make it like a holiday. It's not a holiday. Going Umrah is not a holiday. We must understand this. We must program this. We're going to the house of Allah. We're going to the house of Allah. We're not going to the house of anyone. Turkey, go and do your mahrajan. Go and have your celebration. You want to go to Morocco? Go. Fine. You're going to go to Tunisia? Go to Egypt. You want to have a nice time? Go and have a break? Go. Don't go to the house of Allah and do that. Don't go to the house of Allah and disrespect the house of Allah. وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. The one who gratifies, the one who reveres, the one who honors the sha'air, the symbols of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are the symbols? Kaaba is a symbol of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Kaaba. The one who reveres it, honors it, dignifies it, is from the taqwa of his heart. That means a person who doesn't have taqwa will, in fact, a person, if he disgraces the Kaaba, like what's happening now, we saw on Facebook, we saw on Instagram, we saw on everything, this is kufr. This is outright kufr, blatant kufr. Their sheikhs are the first ones in the world to tell the whole world everyone is bid'atis. You are a mubtadi', brother. Your sheikh is wrong, brother. You are a Hanafi, brother. You're a Maliki, brother. You're wrong. We follow Quran and Sunnah. What Quran and Sunnah are you following? What Quran and Sunnah are your shuyukh following by allowing the Kaaba to be disgraced? Istighfaf of any sha'air of deen, to belittle and to degrade and to dishonor any symbol of deen is absolute kufr according to the ijma' of ulama. Ijma', absolute consensus of all the ulama from the beginning to the end. From the first alim to the last alim, this is a consensus, absolute consensus. That to degrade something from the symbols of Allah, to disrespect something which is the clear symbol of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. This clearly is making istighfaf of not just sunnah, this is making istighfaf of something which is a sha'air, a symbol of our deen. This is outright kufr. Their sheikhs cannot, they don't have the guts. Unfortunately, Saudi sheikhs don't have the guts. They have the guts to make kufr upon the whole ummah. 99% of the ummah are kafir according to their understanding. Because we are Ash'aris and we are Maturidis. We are following Imam As-Suyuti and Imam Ibn Hajar and Imam Nawawi. But when it comes to their leadership, Fawzan and Wama Adraka Mal Fawzan. What happens to Fawzan and his elites? What happens to Yasir al-Dosari and his elites? What happens to Sudais and his companions? Unfortunately, they cannot call out kufr to be kufr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our iman in this time of fitna. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our iman of our children, because this is a great responsibility upon every single one of us. Every single one of us, it is a great responsibility to save and protect our children. If we cannot protect our children in this day and age, we are losers. We have failed our lives. We have failed. We have become a failure in this dunya and akhirah, because our legacy will carry on. The reason why we have a child is for him to make dua for us, is for him to make ibadah, is for him to make salah, is for him to make Quran reading every single day. So it comes to our account when we die. Everything that he does, everything that she does, our daughters do, comes to our grave. Whereas if we leave behind children that we could not protect, then we don't know what we're taking to our graves. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa